In 1982, the Raiders, professional football's winningest team, played their first season in the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum. It was an historic season, filled with color, drama, fun, and excitement. A season in which new fans and old took pride in the silver and black. The Los Angeles Raiders' league record was unsurpassed, and on January 15, 1983, more than 90,000 appreciative fans, the largest non-Super Bowl crowd in recent pro history, cheered their playoff battle against the New York Jets. These determined Los Angeles Raiders, labeled also-rans in preseason polls, overcame adversity, travel, and intense competition to thunder down the stretch, win 6 in a row, and top the AFC with an 8-1 record in the shortened regular season. In the playoffs against Cleveland and New York, the Raiders continued the pressure football that has been a tradition with these gallant warriors in silver and black for 3 memorable decades. This explosive 57-yard score from Jim Plunkett to number 80 Malcolm Barnwell put Los Angeles ahead of the Jets in the third quarter. But in a fierce physical contest in which second effort became first nature, the key plays were turnovers by both teams. And in the end, just 4 points kept these amazing Raiders from their 11th championship game in the last 16 years. 1982 ended only a step away from another world championship. But for proud Raiders like retiring perennial All-Pro Art Shell, this single defeat could not lessen the remarkable beginning in Los Angeles. Another glorious symbol of the Raider organization's unyielding commitment to excellence. San Francisco was the site of the 1982 opener for outstanding head coach Tom Flores and his eager Raiders. In a match between the last 2 Super Bowl champions, Los Angeles took command with swarming special teams play by number 99, Reuben Vaughn, Jeff Barnes, Cal Peterson, Clee Montgomery, Chester Willis, Derek Jensen, Jack Squire, Jim Romano, and number 34, Greg Pruitt. Pro football's premier punter, Ray Guy, expertly readied by special teams coach Steve Ortmeyer, averaged nearly 50 yards, including this classic coffin corner kick. With sure-handed Mark Wilson holding, Chris Barr kicked 3 field goals, each longer than 40 yards. Preseason injuries to John Matuzak and Johnny Robinson created concern, but aggressive young veterans Matt Millen and Pro Bowl starter Lester Hayes rose to the challenge. Number 77, Lyle Alzado, proved hostile in his first Raider game, while blitzing defensive backs Mike Davis and Otis McKinney helped create 5 sacks and a fumble recovery by alert Dave Browning, number 73. Quarterback Jim Plunkett was without injured veterans Bob Chandler and Gene Upshaw. But Coach Tom Flores and skillful offensive assistants Ray Wilsey, Sam Bogosian, Bob Meshach, Tom Walsh, and Larry Cannon deployed Kenny King, number 33, as both runner and receiver. Starting with King was number 1 draft choice Marcus Allen, the Heisman Trophy winner from the University of Southern California. Allen, number 32, rushed for 116 yards and scored a touchdown in his first game in silver and black, as the Raiders ran their overall record in preseason and league action against the 49ers to 16 wins in 19 games. Jim Plunkett studied plans conceived by AFC Coach of the Year Tom Flores, featuring the lethal passing partnership of Plunkett to Branch. Raider Personnel Director Ron Wolf and his able scouts have always been directed to find massive pass protectors with toughness and pride, so the Raiders can confidently go for the bomb on any down, as Los Angeles did on the game's first play to set up an early score. On defense, NFL Comeback Player of the Year Lyle Alzado stuffed the run. Middle guards Reggie Kinlaw and Johnny Robinson attacked from inside. Mike Davis blitzed, and Howie Long charged from the outside, as Raider daring and design resulted in 6 quarterback sacks. The Raider machine roared for 510 yards of offense as Plunkett passed for a career-high 386 yards, expertly employing wide receivers, running backs, and talented tight ends Derek Ramsey and Todd Christensen. Christensen caught 6 passes and Cliff Branch 5, while number 80, Malcolm Barnwell, used his blinding speed to open up the defense and make room for the moves of Marcus Allen, who had 147 yards rushing and receiving and ran for 2 touchdowns.
Power formation to the left. Quick toss to Allen, going wide left to the 5, shakes off a tackler and dances into the end zone. Touchdown Raiders!
The Raiders defeated the Browns 27-10. Another towering achievement in their new beginning in Los Angeles. An historic season adding further glory to 3 decades of Raider pride and poise. Since 1963, when Al Davis and courageous original general partner Ed McGaw pledged to build the greatest organization in professional sports, the Raiders have totally dominated in terms of consistent victory, surpassing Major League Baseball's best, the Baltimore Orioles. Pro basketball's best, the Boston Celtics. And pro hockey's best, the Montreal Canadiens. Only these amazing Raiders have a winning percentage above 700 these 20 years. Sharing these glories are trainers George Anderson and Rod Martin, Equipment Director Richard Romansky, Doctors Bob Rosenfeld and Don Fink, and the entire organization. But the true greatness of the Raiders is in its future. For Raider will to win will endure, as this proud organization maintains its unyielding commitment to excellence. The 1982 Los Angeles Raiders highlights were brought to you by Kodak, America's storyteller.
In the beginning, the NFL's 63rd season seemed more like a walk instead of a race to Super Bowl 17. The threat of a player's strike hung over stadiums like mist on the moors. The owners were steadfast, the players united. Doomsayers predicted the 1982 season would crumble. Yet once the mad scramble began, victories and defeats were more exciting than bargaining points and revenue sharing. Football was king of the hill once again. On the field, a sour note was heard off it.
All NFL training facilities will be struck. There will be no practices, workouts, or training. We are united in our resolve to be treated and dealt with fairly and with dignity.
A player's strike grounded the coast-to-coast spectacle of pro football. As time passed, it appeared that the season would never fly again. But after 8 weeks, the NFL's 28 teams taxied back into takeoff position. The NFL awoke from a 57-day nightmare.
Okay, let's run it out of there. Let's go, baby. Let's go. Let's go.
The flight to Pasadena and Super Bowl 17 was airborne once more. Attendance dipped, but those willing to forgive saw signs that the game was soon soaring at its accustomed altitude. Fouts, the NFL's passing yardage leader, at the controls. Cincinnati's Kenny Anderson broke Sammy Baugh's 37-year-old record with an amazing 70.60% completion average for the season. The Anderson-led Bengals breezed into the AFC's Super Bowl tournament, while the Dallas Cowboys strolled into the NFC's playoffs with their usual cast of miracle makers and record breakers.
Dallas is 99 yards and 2 feet away from the Minnesota goal line. They have Dorsett as the only running back. Tom Rafferty over the ball.
Chip of quarterback Danny White and the imagination of Tom Landry combined to give Dallas their 17th consecutive winning season. At times, these Cowboys looked like machines that were computer-driven, programmed for Pasadena. But unlike the previous 2 seasons, the Cowboys were not unbeatable at home in Texas Stadium. Landry's team lost its season opener for the first time since 1965. And during a late season slump, Dallas looked ordinary against less talented but more eager opponents. No one, not even the Cowboys, could escape the weirdness on the field during this strike-shortened season. Instead of an orderly march to Super Bowl 17, teams launched a crazy scramble. Minnesota, Tampa Bay, and St. Louis improvised their way into the playoffs, while others like the Houston Oilers couldn't bumble their way out of enough trouble to join the hectic championship chase. While many stumbled in this strange season, in Miami, Don Shula kept his Dolphins right in step. The versatility of quarterback David Woodley, number 16, allowed Shula to open up the Dolphin offense. But Shula's time-proven formula for success remained unchanged. as fundamental football made Miami's defense, the Killer Bees, the NFL's toughest. This was a tough, determined, and smart football team, just like Shula himself.
Double tight, you're in, double tight.
A Zonkian fullback named Andra Franklin, number 37, was the final muscle that allowed Miami to power their way to the AFC Championship, beating the highly touted San Diego Chargers along the way. During a distracting season, the Dolphins achieved success with an orderly application of all their resources. But in Week 14, even they were victimized by the NFL's strangest season. In a season in which the leading men stayed home for 8 weeks, it was somehow fitting that the year's most memorable performance was turned in by a bit player. In 1982, Shea Stadium was the home of a flashy and daring football team. It was a place where you could find a salty soft pretzel and the world's biggest hot dog. Emotion fueled these talented Jets, and 3 straight playoff games on the road would help them prove that their willpower equaled their firepower. Against Cincinnati, Freeman McNeil rushed for over 200 yards as the Jets humiliated the defending AFC champions 44-17. New York's next test would be a far sterner one indeed. The Raiders. Intimidation was their creed. Might makes right their pledge. And in 1982, they backed their boast with Rookie of the Year sensation Marcus Allen, number 32, the NFL's top scorer. The Silver and Black finished the season with the AFC's best record. But in the second round of the playoffs against the Jets, the Raiders were on the wrong end of the hammer they had so hardily wielded over the years.
Pass! Come on, get it! Pass! Get it! Come on! Get it! Pass! Yeah! Go! Go, Jerry! Get back! Yeah! That's it, baby!
What a great hit.
New York's defense buried their skeptics and Jim Plunkett deep in the ground. And mighty Mark Gastineau danced on that grave with one final fit of fury. New York cruised on quarterback Richard Todd's tailwind to a 17-14 victory that jetted them all the way to the AFC Championship game. While the Jets were making noises in the East, in the West, the crash of the defending world champion 49ers was deafening. San Francisco was deflated by 6 losses, while in Green Bay, the Packers were pumped up and playoff bound. Led by smooth-striding wide receiver James Lofton, number 80, the Packers galloped into postseason play for the first time since 1972. Green Bay's sudden explosion was a surprise, but not nearly as big as the one that shook the nation's capital.
Yellow 41! Yellow 41! Hut!
In 1982, the Washington Redskins led the NFL's most important statistic, victories. They were a collection of unusual characters, like the Hogs, their huge offensive line. Quarterback Joe Theismann was an honorary piglet, and his crew of tiny wide receivers were so small, they were nicknamed the Smurfs. Redskins also allowed the fewest points in football with a defense that strictly enforced a hands-off policy. While other teams won with stars, the Redskins won by using the efforts of every individual and by performing the extra efforts that make a team great. Everyone played an important role as 3 of Washington's 8 wins came on field goals by the record-setting Mark Mosley.
9 seconds to go. Theismann to hold from the 32, a 42-yard attempt. High snap. Theismann's got the ball. Plenty long enough. It's good! Mark Mosley has broken the National Football League record.
We're the type of guys who stand up and we'll meet the challenge and, see who wins. Today we won. They said they're going to come in here, they're the butchers and we're the hogs. The thing they forgot is before a hog goes to the butcher, somebody got to kill it, and nobody even come close today.
No one in the Super Bowl tournament came close either. Not the Detroit Lions, who fell 31-7. Only Alvin Garrett's Smurf-like politeness spared the Lions from further embarrassment. But a week later, led by their big porkers up front and their groundhog running back John Riggins, number 44, Washington was less than courteous as they stampeded the Minnesota Vikings. The Redskins won 21-7 to advance into the NFC Championship. There, much to the delight of themselves and their fans, they would meet an old nemesis. It was the Cowboys and the Redskins. A rematch of bitter rivals with the NFC Championship at stake. Surrounded in RFK Stadium, the Cowboys circled their wagons while the Redskins donned their war paint, then attacked. Led by fullback John Riggins, who rushed for 140 yards, Washington drew first blood by scoring the game's first 2 touchdowns. Before Dallas could clear leather, the Redskins ambushed Cowboy quarterback Danny White. White left the game with a concussion and never returned. However, steadied by the gunfighter nerve of substitute quarterback Gary Hogeboom, who consistently converted key third-down plays, Dallas mounted a second-half comeback. At the trigger of Landry's shotgun, Hogeboom fired at will, connecting twice for touchdowns. The Cowboys were back in the battle, their 6 guns blazing. However, Dallas's only road out of these Badlands was through the air, and the Redskins knew it.
Batted in the air, picked off by George. Touchdown, Washington Redskins! I don't believe it!
Dallas was cut off at the pass as Washington's 31-17 victory left the Cowboys one game short of the promised land for the third straight year. For the young Redskins, the journey to Super Bowl 17 continued.
You watch so many Super Bowls. You know, as a young guy, you dream about it. If I wasn't here, I'd be home having a little celebration, have people over. And now the same people will be watching me. And I love it! I love it!
Washington awaited the AFC champion. In muddied Miami, the Jets met the Dolphins in a battle far more physical than the season's first two meetings. Neither team scored in the first half. But in the second half, it was the day of the Dolphin. A Dolphin named A.J. Dewey.
The ball at the Jets' 48-yard line. 13 minutes to go. Dolphins lead 7-0. Third down and 7. In motion, Barkham back to the near side of the field. Todd will play fake. He throws the ball. It's intercepted at the line of scrimmage. It's going to be run in for a touchdown by A.J. Dewey at the 10, the 5. He scores!
Dewey's third interception of this championship finalized a 14-0 win as Miami earned the right to face the Redskins in Super Bowl 17. It was indeed ironic that in an age of pass-happy madness, a pair of throwbacks to the good old days of running and defense were the two who would line up in sunny Pasadena. The clouds of discontent that had darkened the season were swept away in the Rose Bowl as NFL 82 came to a stirring conclusion.
We busted our ass. We've worked harder than anybody to get here. Nobody can beat us in a team, and it's worth $70,000. What a big win!
Miami would score on two of the longest plays in the history of the Super Bowl. The first came on a pass from David Woodley to Jimmy Cephalo that covered 76 yards. The second came on a 98-yard run by Fulton Walker. Number 41 used a key block by Steve Scholl to record the first kickoff return for a touchdown in the history of the event. But for all their long-range lightning, Miami couldn't put the Redskins away. Washington kept the contest close, then used their hogs and diesel engine fullback John Riggins to grind out a world championship.
Crank up that diesel. Let's go, diesel.
Let's go. Goal line. I left tight wing, 70 chip on white. Ready?
Here comes the diesel. Here comes the diesel. Should come with John Riggins right up the middle. Right up over the middle. There's the snap, hand to Riggins. Good hole.
Run was the longest and won in classic fashion.